The Russian armed forces destroyed a Ukrainian armed forces supply vehicle and a TV crew in Konstantinovka. A lengthy chase ensued between the drone and the vehicle, with the drone ultimately prevailing. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, calculations by the Rubicon Center indicated that an unmanned boat belonging to the Ukrainian Navy was destroyed in the Black Sea near the Crimean coast. It is clear that a Lancet UAV was used in the attack. The destruction of the unmanned boat has been independently verified. Another example of humanity and empathy was cited from Russian FPV teams. None of the aircraft would deliberately target civilians, even if there was the slightest suspicion in the footage. In one video, a man stopped when he saw a drone landing, appearing to be a civilian. The drone flew past him without engagement. Russian reconnaissance UAV operators discovered a UAV control point deployed in wooded areas near Dnipro. The position was monitored for some time, and coordinates were calculated when Ukrainian soldiers emerged. They noticed the approaching Russian drone and retreated to shelter. The Russian drone then entered the shelter. Russian air forces conducted an airstrike on a residential area in the village of Orikhiv in the Kharkiv region, using a Ka-52 attack helicopter to target Ukrainian UAV operators. The destruction of the target was objectively confirmed, and the strike was reported as successful. A Russian reconnaissance unit detected the movement of 3 Ukrainian soldiers walking along a road. The soldiers hid among the trees to rest. Russian drones equipped with munitions were prepared immediately. Their propellers started without delay. These drones, each carrying a single munition, dropped their payloads upon reaching the target. In previous videos, drones developed by Russian engineers were shown to be capable of dropping 14 munitions in pairs of 2. It is believed that once these new generation drones are fully deployed, battlefield tactics will change significantly as technology continues to advance rapidly. Russian armed forces fiber-optic drone operators loaded ammunition onto a drone and launched it on an aerial reconnaissance mission. They spotted a Ukrainian soldier hiding among bushes, and the operator acted immediately. Simultaneously, several Ukrainian UAV crews were destroyed. A Russian operator detected an enemy FPV UAV engineer re-entering the area. Further reconnaissance revealed several more crews. The information was promptly relayed to artillery units, and all enemy positions were destroyed shortly afterward. In the Dnipro direction, UAV operators from the southern group targeted and destroyed enemy vehicles. In the Sumy region, a Russian drone operator struck Ukrainian armed forces attempting to take up positions. A pickup truck belonging to the Ukrainian forces was traveling along a road when a Russian FPV drone suddenly appeared in front of it. The soldiers inside attempted to reach for their weapons to shoot down the drone, but it was already too late. Russian forces in the north destroyed temporary deployment points of the Ukrainian armed forces in areas close to the Russian state border. The artillery unit successfully struck the buildings with a single round, thanks to precise calculations by reconnaissance drones in determining coordinates. The artillery achieved accurate hits, and the targets were destroyed. Another pickup truck carrying Ukrainian armed forces soldiers was destroyed and burned by the 69th Motorized Infantry Division in the Kharkiv direction. The Russian armed forces carried out a joint attack yesterday on a Ukrainian training ground near the village of Hanja Roka, using Iskander M and Grom missiles, along with Garin UAVs. They struck the targets with precision. Footage of the destruction was reported to have been objectively verified. In the early hours of the morning, Russian forces raided Ukrainian shelters and captured several Ukrainian soldiers. The prisoners were safely evacuated from the area and later interrogated. According to reports, the soldiers stripped down to their underwear upon surrender. as they might have been concealing weapons or sharp objects. Russian soldiers stated this was done as a precautionary measure. UAV operators of the southern group destroyed temporary staging points and shelters of Ukrainian armed forces personnel in the Donetsk direction. Footage shows Russian operators performing precise calculations before the strikes. Western-supplied tanks, armored vehicles, and howitzers received by Ukraine are reportedly being destroyed one by one. Footage shows an armored personnel carrier struck and reduced to scrap. Northwest of Pokrovsk, an American MaxxPro armored vehicle was destroyed on the M30 highway. A few small Russian FPV drones loaded with explosives were sufficient to destroy NATO's and the UAMO's expensive armored vehicles. Commentary in the footage posed the question: how do you assess the fact that small, light, and fast drones can destroy heavy, costly armored vehicles? The Russian armed forces also launched a nighttime attack on military targets in Dnipro. Throughout the night, numerous drones and missiles struck Ukrainian positions near Lysychanny in the Lviv region. A 1431 MSP-type UAV filmed the driver of a Ukrainian military vehicle demonstrating his skills in reversing under pressure. The parachute units of the 76th Guards Airborne Division were transferred from the Serebryansky forest near Crimea to the Orikhiv tactical direction in the Verbove and Novoprokopivka area. Upon arrival, the paratroopers immediately engaged in combat with the Ukrainian Armed Forces, 82nd Airborne Brigade, and 71st Jaeger Brigade. These Ukrainian units, trained in NATO methods in EU countries and equipped with NATO weapons, had broken through the first line of trenches. Intense trench fighting ensued, eventually turning into hand-to-hand combat after large column advances proved ineffective. Ukrainian assault groups were transported to the front in armored vehicles, and fierce clashes followed. After 2 weeks of fighting, the Ukrainian forces were driven out of the trenches. Footage showed soldiers of the 234th Guards Airborne Regiment in action. In the Zaporizhzhia region, a Bohdan 3.0 motorized artillery gun was detected and destroyed. The FPV drone operator systematically targeted the gun until it caught fire. Ukrainian forces attempted several times to extinguish it and restore functionality, but a subsequent strike with 4 FAB bombs permanently disabled the weapon. Elsewhere, a cameraman and 3 Ukrainian soldiers came under heavy bombardment from Russian artillery. Continuous shelling prevented them from leaving their hiding place for even a moment. Soldiers from the 16th Special Forces Brigade were reported on duty. One enemy SUV was destroyed near Sloviansk. Another Ukrainian UAV control center in the Kharkiv region was destroyed with a guided missile, which struck the target directly, eliminating the position in a single hit. Russian reconnaissance drone operators also identified a Ukrainian 120mm mortar position. After observing the area, they located the building where the mortar crew was hiding and storing ammunition. A Russian FPV drone launched a powerful strike on the building, igniting a fire that triggered secondary explosions of the mortar rounds. Russian reconnaissance teams continue operating around the clock, with drones constantly patrolling the skies. Another Ukrainian transport vehicle was detected and destroyed, and attacks continued both day and night. Additionally, Russian fighters shot down a Ukrainian UAV attempting to take off near the Sumy direction. Ukrainian armed forces destroyed a BBM armored vehicle near the village of Bohulivka. Paratroopers of the 98th Guards Airborne Division destroyed a Ukrainian transport vehicle in the direction of Konstantinovka. In the settlement of Novopavlivka, Dnipropetrovsk region, VT-40, FPV drones struck and destroyed a Turkish-made Kirpi armored vehicle as well as a Ukrainian pickup truck on the highway west of Rozivka. The footage in this segment is unusual. 2 Russian drones crashed into a Ukrainian bunker, but their explosives did not detonate immediately. They exploded after a short delay. This raises questions: why might such a delay have occurred? Could it have allowed the soldiers inside the bunker to escape in time? Lyman direction. Soldiers of the 7th Brigade of the 3rd Army Corps raised a flag on Serebryanka in the Kryvyi Rih direction. The clip highlights the intensity of fighting in this region. Russian armored and mechanized units continue their offensive operations, despite minefields and drone attacks. Russian tanks are advancing steadily while deploying infantry safely. Groups of Russian motorcyclists are also rapidly advancing and conducting sudden raids against Ukrainian troops. Early in the morning, a Russian operator discovered a Humvee parked under cover of trees. A drone strike destroyed the vehicle. Footage also shows the capture of several Ukrainian fortifications in the Kherson. Russian soldiers detonated explosives at very close range inside bunkers, using grenades, anti-tank mines, and other munitions.